and welcome back to It's a Miracle Budgeting. My name is Brandy and I am a mostly cash budgeter. I do use some credit cards for rewards or different things. Like right now I'm using my Amex Delta to get trip to Texas this year. Pardon me if I'm a little winded or breathy. We suspect that it's that fun thing going around right now. Haven't got my test results back yet, but my entire office was stricken with it. So it's pretty much a given, especially with the symptoms. So I'm a little bit breathy. I'm a little bit more tired, but overall I'm doing fine. This is my budget for 120 to 22. That's the pay period that it's covering. I cannot show my income or my bonus information from my actual employer because I have a non-disclosure agreement with my employer. I cannot by law do that. I can be sued for that. But I did do stash and PenFed. I transferred some money to pay off some bills. So I have a PenFed savings account that I pulled some money out of. However, I already see an error here because technically this PenFed has already been used in the previous 2 weeks. So I'm not going to include it on this budget because I did already pay bills with that. And then stash is going to be $302. The other balance I already paid off on my pedal card. If you've watched any of my videos, I did have an auto repair. I threw it on my pedal card with the intent of paying it off immediately. And so I've already paid off $500 of that $1,100, and I have another $200 or $300 that's going on it this week. So that is what we're doing here. So this is just my income, my expenses. My husband and I do not budget together. We never have in 22 years. I give him a little bit of cash every payday and he pays majority of the household bills. I have like car insurance, cell phone, homeowners, things like that. So that is what we're looking at now. So I'm just going to start filling in some of these amounts. Most of these amounts are actual because I've already received the bills. If anything changes when I do my cash stuffing, I'll update you, but I'm going to use the budgeted category even though majority of them are actual. So every 2 weeks, I'm going to use a different color. Every 2 weeks, I give my husband $100, and so that just chips in the household. Every 2 weeks, I deposit $125 for my cell and $125 for my car insurance, and that is just put into an account, and then it automatically pulls out whenever it's due, and then that way, the money is always there. While I'm talking about that, if you've been paying off your debt and your credit scores are going up and you have not, prior to your next renewal of your homeowners, renters, or car insurance, make sure you call your agent and ask them to rerun your credit. It's not going to give you a pull on your credit. It's a soft pull that's done in the background by financial organizations. I just saved, I think it worked out to be 25% on my homeowners insurance, and then my insurance for my car, I didn't get it in time, but they have it set up for it, and she's suspecting that's going to be 25 to 40% off. So make sure as your credit score goes up, you rerun it. Now, if you have a dip, if you miss a payment, if you have to file bankruptcy like that, don't rerun it. Leave it alone because they typically, once you're there, unless you request it or you move your coverage, they don't run it. But at least I know in Michigan, I think it's nationwide, but in Michigan it is based on our credit. So, which is stupid because being poor doesn't mean that you're going to make more claims. It means that you need to make claims when you need to make claims. I don't understand I work in insurance for 20 years and I don't understand the thinking behind it. I think it's just another way to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. But whatever, who am I? Next is my personal loan. This is a personal loan that I obtained in August. I've already paid off almost 60%. My goal is to have it paid off by March 31st. And I pay $190 out of every single paycheck, just a flat payment. It's automatic withdrawn, and it gave me a discount on my interest by doing that, and it's more than is due. So every time I pay the $190 twice, it's more than my minimum payment, so I'm fine with that. And then stash, I'm actually no longer doing. I actually pulled all of my money out of stash. Initially, I was just doing a withdrawal, and then I had to talk to customer service for some things, and I really was very unhappy with the way they acted, and there is a bazillion stock options for you to use out there now. So when I reopen my stock account, I will reopen it with a different organization. Now, I just started doing stocks in, I want to say April of last year. I could be wrong, but I think it's around April. So I had less than or about $1,000 in there. So it wasn't anything crazy. I didn't go pull out my life savings. I have my retirement separate. Apple Extra is I have a tablet or iPad that I did under the Apple free payments with my Apple card. So I pay an extra $25 every single paycheck that I put towards that debt. Amex minimum payment is $40. Then Apple, I do another $50. It's actually not the amount due, but I do it anyways. Old Navy is $29. USAA, I think is already paid. It is. I already paid this. This is part of those monies I talked about that up here that were different. USAA is already paid, so I'm going to go ahead and cross that off. First Savings is 30. BlockFi is minimum of 56. I pay 75. Myers 29. Walmart MasterCard is 29. And Blaze is 30. And then Fremont is my homeowners, Fremont Insurance Company. And previously, before asking them to rerun my credit, my total 6-month premium was $267. It's now dropped down to $199.50, so I'm going to mark it as $200. So let me just make sure. Oh, Blaze is already paid too. So I get for going on there and paying ahead. And I mean that in the funniest way because obviously it's helpful. Blaze is paid. Actually, Apple's already paid too. Both of these Apples are paid. So I'm going to go ahead and cross these off so I don't forget and think, why didn't I do it? So let me just make sure I got all my stuff right. 40, 29. Okay, so we are looking at $972 for my total. Again, I can't put what's left over because that would divulge what's up here, and I'm not trying to lose my job. I really love my job, and I'd like to stay there a long time. So we look at my cash envelopes. Groceries, as I talked about, I up to $150. If you saw my weekly check-in, dining is $20, spending is $20, fuel is $50. And miscellaneous is always $10. I may up that after I get my debts paid back down, but for now, that's what I'm sticking with. Subs is getting $100. I use this for my personal and my business subscription, so I do put a decent amount in there. And then pets is always $20. Very rarely do I change that. Sam's is $30. Massage Luxe is $50. Beauty is $80. And medical is $20. And that all totals $500 even. I haven't got a massage, I think, since the 2nd of January. Or is that the one I canceled? No, I went to that one, I believe. I can't remember. The last one, but I have 5, well, now 6 in January. So 6 massages sitting there. So I might put a pause on my membership and actually use some of those and then restart if I want to. I haven't decided yet, just something I'm kind of throwing around. So that was my cash envelopes. If we go over to my sinking funds, and I realized I did keep it zoomed out, but what I figured out was I forget to move the paper up and down, so that's why I'm reading them out loud so you can see where I'm at and what I'm doing. So kids is my kids and grandkids fund. That's getting $6. This is basically a really small, almost like a petty cash. The kids need $5 here, $10 here, but majority of it's being saved. So when we go to Texas, it gives just like cash for the grandkids and our littler kids to spend when we're in Texas. So that's getting $6. School's getting $16. If I put $16 in it for most of the year and then just throw some extra around school shopping, that will be fine because my husband pays part of school shopping too. And we only have 2 left in school. We actually have 4 adults and 2 minors now, which is just crazy because it seemed like forever we had minors. And this year is a huge year. My youngest is turning 13. So we will not have any kids anymore. We'll have all teenagers and older, which is just like panic attack for me. I can't believe my kids are getting that big. So my envelope is 30. This is like my tech, my planning, anything I want to spend money on and I want to kind of save for, that's what that's for. Clothing is getting 20, and that's typically my clothing. Car is getting 60. I'm trying to pay off the rest of that pedal, and I also am trying to set aside for my next oil change. Tags is getting 20. Tags, in case you haven't seen a previous video, Michigan, they just changed the law that we can now do 2 years of tags. I was only saving for 1 year, so I am trying to throw money in here whenever I can. I more than likely will still pay for 2 years for our cars. That's one of the bills I pay, and I more than likely will still pay 2 years because I can actually just contribute it later on. It won't be a big deal. Home is getting 20. Annual fees is for all my subprime mainly, other than my Amex has a decent sized one because it has good rewards for traveling. Annual fees, when I had poor credit, I had subprime cars, and not all of them, but some of them have annual fees, and this helps me have that money sitting there if an annual fee hits, especially when it's a zero balance. I can just go throw that on and pay it off right then, and I don't have to worry about it. So I went in, I made a list of all of my cards. I actually keep it in my planner other binder thing, and it has every single credit card I have for personal and business. It has the interest rate, the payment due date, the method it's paid, and lastly, it has if it has an annual fee or not. So I went in total all my annual fees divided by 26 paydays, and that's what I came up with. This is going to be slightly off because I did just get a business card that has nothing this year, but next year it will be $99, and that's an Amex card, and more than likely my business can cover it, but I like putting them in here even if the money comes from my business so that I know I'm pulling it all from the same place, and it helps me with tracking versus tracking two separate. And I really don't want my cash envelopes for my business to get any bigger, any more quantity of them. So birthdays and gifts are always the same. That's 80 and 20. Gifts are for people outside the home, whether it be wedding, baby shower, etc. And then birthday is our family, our kids and grandkids and each other. So month ahead is getting 50. I am trying to build my month ahead fund. There should be linked in the cards my month ahead binder. Every time I hit 500 in my month ahead fund, I actually moved over to my month ahead binder. And that is so that I can eventually, my husband and I are actually planning on opening a checking account and putting that month ahead binder in the checking account, putting all the money in there, then using that month ahead binder to collect the cash through the month and then depositing it. So that way we're always a month ahead and we have that savings. And then if we have extra cash, we can throw it in rent or whatever. We own our home. Again, in case you haven't seen it in a previous video, we own a very, very ancient, archaic trailer, manufactured home in a manufactured park. We actually bought it for about $6,000 with tax. We've lived here 3 years. We've even used it to pay off our debt and do savings. The same exact trailer, 2 doors or 2 streets over, just sold for $20,000 because there's a housing shortage here. It is getting crazy in the housing market right now. I don't know when any of this is going to break, but it's definitely something to stress you out. We'd planned on buying in 2022. Now we're talking about 2023 because it's just crazy. I mean, it's really just crazy. So the next 2 categories is zoo and passports. Sorry, back up. That's why I said rent, is we don't actually have true rent. We have lot rent that we pay every month, which is about a third to half of what we paid at our previous 2 homes. So that's why. Zoo and passports. Passports is a very long-term fund. I'm hoping to save for all 12 of us to have passports. There's 6 kids, 3 grandkids. That's only 9. So maybe there's not 12. Oh, my son-in-law. I'm like, that doesn't add up. So there's 6 kids, 3 grandkids, my son-in-law, and then my husband and I. So I'm saving up for all 12 of us to have passports. We're not going anywhere this year for sure, possibly even next year, but it's a long term because that's a documentation I think that all people should have that can afford to and can, has the what's the word I'm looking for? The want for it. But it's another form of ID, and especially for young adults, is they lose their licenses and everything else. And if they leave their passports in the safe, if they lose their license, they can take their passport to actually go. But also when you cross the border, it's much easier with passports. We live right by Canada. We have what's called I can't remember what the type of license is called. It's like a special license that's only for going across Mexico, Puerto Rico, Canada. Land travel normally, except for Puerto Rico, which is an American constituent anyways, or proper territory. I can't talk today. American territory. There's another one too. Oh, American Virgin Islands. So you can use that kind of license, but I just think it's good for us all to have passports. So that's a very long term. I'm saving a very small amount to get to long term, and that's $6. And then zoos, normally we go to a zoo every summer. We usually pick one, hours away, and we've been to Cleveland, we've been to Toledo, we've been to obviously Detroit. Trying to think where else we've been, but we go to different zoos. But this year we're actually saving so we can use it at the San Antonio Zoo. So I'm doing 6 again, and this is just to save for our entrance fees when we go. I have a storage in case you haven't seen previous videos. I had emptied our storage when we moved from our old house, was much bigger than our current house. I had cleaned out the storage slowly but surely, selling things and tossing things and donating things. And then I moved it all onto our enclosed porch. Our enclosed porch now has started, basically it's a water issue, but it's only on the porch. It's not in our home. We had a roof repair that fixed everything for the house, and it basically would cost us way too much money to fix that porch at this point. So I now have had to move back to the storage, but I put my stock there so that our house isn't cluttered with the stock for my business. So a lot of my stock is there. So my business pays half and I pay half. So that's $28 per paycheck. And I am trying to save a little bit ahead on that one. And then my anniversary is only getting 10. Our 20th anniversary is this year. And actually we finally figured out what we think we're going to do. We are not going to go out of town. Both of us are not ones that I personally, because of my lupus, don't do well in a hotel. It makes me not sleep well, and then it takes me days to recover and everything else. So, and he travels for work, so he's tired of hotels. So we actually are going to do a surf and turf dinner, and we're probably going to try to find somewhere we can actually do bow and arrow lessons. Both of us are curious about it, never done it, so we're both looking into that. And then, so I'm just saving that fund is just to save for that day out with us. Thanksgiving gets $16 per check. And then right now, I'm not doing a ton into Santa. We are not Christian, and I know it offends some people to call it Xmas, so I actually call it Santa. We do a non-denominational, non-Christian gift-giving holiday. It has nothing to do with religion. So I try to be respectful to other people's, belief systems. So I use Santa for that, and Santa's getting 50. That will get notched up as we go through the year. And the vacation is getting 40, again, saving for a San Antonio trip, and holidays is getting 20. So this totals $522, which that was probably the longest explanation I've done. I don't explain things every video, and I feel bad because I do get new subscribers, and they may not have seen me do this 100 times. But then I feel bad explaining it because the people who have been here a long time have seen it 100 times. So I feel like it's kind of a catch-22. So this paycheck for my extra debt, I'm actually putting $350 on my loan. This is in addition to that $190. So $350 is going on my loan this paycheck. Oops, I put it in the wrong category. $350 on the loan. My snowball payment is going to pedal, and that's going to be $250. And that's again paying for the car. And I just did it wrong again. I did this different this budget, and obviously it doesn't do well for me. So $250 to pedal, and then just into my snowball cash fund, I'm putting $50. So that does total $650. And then down here, I actually got rid of the emergency fund. I haven't shown on my cash envelope yet, but I will. I combined them both into savings. I think what I'm going to do is I was trying to do my $1,000 emergency fund because we did have to put that on the cars and then have a savings still being built simultaneously. I think actually what I'm going to do is I combine them both. When I hit 1,000 in my savings, I'm going to move that back to the bank where I kept my emergency fund digitally. And then I'll continue to save in this and create my normal savings that I normally do. So this paycheck, it's getting $150. Black Friday, which I didn't do last year and I regret it because I blew a ton of money around Black Friday. So that's getting $25. I didn't use Black Friday for hardly any Christmas presents. It was almost entirely household and stuff like that. We got rugs, a vacuum. The only Christmas present I bought, my kids wanted to do Ancestry DNA. I've done it all. I'm really into genealogy. They want to do their Ancestry DNA. My husband and I are from completely different backgrounds, and his is very diverse. They want to know what they inherited. We have one back so far. It was pretty interesting. So I bought them Ancestry DNA test, and I bought my husband a new Roku. So that's the only thing I did on Black Friday that was actually Christmas related or Santa related. I am doing 25. I'm hoping to have about 300. I think that's roughly what I spent this year. And if I don't spend it all, I'm actually just going to move it to our Texas fund. And then business, I do $30 every single paycheck towards my business. If that ever gets where my business is making buco bucks, I won't need to, but right now it gives me that little cushion so I don't need to stress when I have a slow week, the stuff that fills in. And then that all totals $205. So in cash, we're roughly going to have, there's $500 for my cash envelopes. My sinking funds is $522. My snowball is $50. And then these are $205. So let's see how much cash I would need to pull out for that. Let's see, we have 500 plus, oops, didn't clear it. 500 plus 522 plus 50 plus 205. So that's $1,277 is going to be my cash stuffing this week. I get paid on Thursdays, but our paycheck's coming in today early. So I typically try to pull the cash out and film on Wednesdays and post Wednesday night if I'm able. If not, I post it Thursday. And then there's one other change I did want to bring up, and I actually meant to bring this up earlier. My just turned 21-year-old is actually moving back in this weekend. His housing is just not a good environment. He lives with some roommates, and they're just very, I don't want to say it politely, imbalanced. They have some chemical issues. So he's moving back in so he can save for a car and apartment and then move back out again. And so we are going to be changing food budget in the sense that we're going to be buying more. We are not charging him rent. We're not charging him for utilities. We're only charging him for food only because food is so expensive and he can pay something if he's living here. He's 21 years old. So he is going to be chipping in. So you may see me stuff more than 150, but it's 150 is from my budget. So if you made it this far, which I would be shocked if anyone made it this far, if you did, down below, don't say anything, just post what your favorite holiday is. It confuses people to no end. So just post Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving or I don't know, whatever your favorite holiday is, just post it down below if you made it this far. And that'll be our little secret on why you're posting it. So if you made it this far, I appreciate it because it was long-winded and long. And I hope that you will like, share, subscribe if you have not already. Make sure you ring that bell for notifications. I don't post at the same time, the same day every week, and you'll miss videos if you don't have the notifications on. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope your budget's going fantastic, and I hope you're having a great new year so far. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.